G'day guys, welcome back to my vlog. In this episode of my how-to series, I'm going to be showing you how to do a complete oil change on a Harley Davidson motorcycle. That's the 3-hole oil change, including a filter, new oil, primary, gearbox and engine. For this particular video, I've decided to use all original Harley Davidson parts, which I'll show you in a second. I'll talk you through what I've bought, what tools I'm going to use and the process. I'll show you where each individual sump plug is and take you with me on the process so you can do this yourself at home for minimal cost. It's not a hard job, don't need any special tools or knowledge. Let's get into it. Okay, so on this particular occasion I went to my local Harley dealer. I've decided to use all Harley Davidson original parts. I'll start with the oil. So on this one I've used the Formula Plus HD Genuine. It's basically engine oil for the, it's transmission oil and primary oil. It's got the special slip agent in it for the primary, and it also goes in the gearbox. So I believe the content for the primary and the gearbox is 1 quart, which is basically it's just under a litre. So I need 2 of those. So there's 1 for the transmission, 1 for the primary, both the same oil. I've used the Harley Davidson Genuine oil filter for the front, which I'll show you how to do change shortly. And I've got the motorcycle engine oil, again Harley Davidson original part, SAE 20-50. I've gone with the primary cover gasket, again genuine Harley part, and 3 new O-rings there just for the sump plugs. I've also elected at this particular time to change my spark plugs over. Probably don't need doing, but it doesn't hurt. I'm doing a complete service, so I might as well get the whole lot done in one hit. As for the tools that I'm using on this, it's simple, just a simple 5/8 socket. The 5/8 socket is what you'll need to undo all 3 sump plugs, all the same size. On my particular model, for the transmission oil, I've got an Allen key type thing. This is a 3/8 Allen key. Again, no metrics here. This is all imperial because it's American. So important to use the right size sockets and the right size Allen key, otherwise you'll round off the heads on the bolts for future use. So we'll move across to the motorcycle. We'll go under the motorcycle now and I'll show you the position of all 3 sump plugs. So I'll just get this oil container out of the way. And there is your drain plug for your transmission oil. Okay. So then if we spin over to the other side of the motorcycle, underneath the primary, I'll go the other side so you can see it from there as well. There is your drain plug for the primary oil. And the gearbox oil is there. Alright, so we'll go around the other side of the motorcycle. So the primary cover. I need to take this primary cover off to refill the primary oil. However, I'll get to that soon. So underneath the primary, and right there, the primary oil change plug. And then if we go further into the motorcycle, there's your sump plug. Alright, so in no particular order, I'm just going to start by probably releasing a little bit of pressure at the top. So I'm going to take this little plastic cover off here, the bike. That'll give me a little bit more access to the gearbox. So it's got an Allen key on there, it shouldn't be tight. He says, yeah, no, it's alright, it's got it. So let's loosen that. That's the filler cap for the gearbox oil. And that's got a dipstick on it, so you can check the oil after you've done it. Okay, so I'll just pop that back in there just loosely, just to stop any contaminants falling in my gearbox. And we all know where the engine oil filler is. So I'll again loosen this one, just to stop any vacuum with the rubber O-ring on the top. And we all know there's a dipstick on the back of that one, but for anyone who doesn't know, there's a dipstick on there for the oil level. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to warm the bike up. We'll let the oil thin out a little bit and then we'll drain the oil. Alright, I'll get you back soon. Okay, that's the bike nice and warm. I'm going to start to drain the oil now. I think I'm going to start with the 2 plugs underneath. I'll start the one nearest with me and then I'll be able to confirm with you guys which one it is, whether it's actually the engine oil or whether it's the gearbox oil. So I'll start with that one first. I'll move some of this stuff out of my way. Just grabbing a catch can, chuck that under there at the same stage. Try and catch as much oil as I can, so it's again 5/8 socket. Alright, so we'll get on this one first. Alright, that's that loose. This is where I just try not to get oil over everything. If this is black, this will be engine oil. If it's golden, it'll be transmission oil, and that's transmission oil. So the first sun plug is transmission oil. Okay. So at least we've worked that one out. We know which one's what. So that's the transmission oil just popping out of there right now. As you can see, it's nice and golden, so that's not engine oil. This is the sump plug that I take out of the gearbox. Okay. There's a magnet on the end of that. I don't know whether that will focus on there. And as you can see, there's some small iron filings and stuff on the end of the magnet. That's all perfectly normal, because it's obviously where your gearbox goes round. So we just give that a bit of a wipe off and clean. And I don't know if you can see that or not, but I'd say that's fairly normal. There's nothing too serious about any of that in there. It's always good practice, guys, to replace the O-rings as you take them off, just to prevent any future leaks. And all your mates hanging shit on you down the pub about a leaky Harley. So always replace your O-rings, even though it won't stop any of our mates hanging shit on me about having a leaky Harley. But anyway, I'll do my best. All right, so these are just O-rings that I got from Harley Davidson. These are the new ones. The old sump plug out of the gearbox, so just pull the other O-ring across the thread. A bit fiddly, but I'm trying to get it on camera for you guys as well. But yeah, you just pull it across the threads, unroll it, discard it. Doesn't need to be used anymore. Don't get it mixed up with your new ones. New O-ring there. I might just grab a little bit of old oil just to put around the seal, just to help it seal in, and then I'll just literally slide it over the thread with a little bit of new oil on there, like so. And that, my friends, is all ready to go back in the hole once she's finished draining. Okay, so it looks as though the gearbox oil's finished draining there. However, quick tip, I don't have a motorcycle stand. The motorcycle's leaning on the bike stand itself, so therefore the bike's tilted up. Therefore, some of the gearbox oil is going to be run to the back end of the sump and not in the way of the hole. So what I'm going to do for this, I'm literally just going to flick the ignition on so the alarm doesn't go off. He says. There we go. And I'm literally just going to lift the bike up straight. So probably the easiest way and safest way to do it is to actually just squat on it and just lift it up so. Make sure that the sump plug starts to drain any oil out. You've still got your, otherwise you'll make a hell of a mess. So I'm just going to sit here now for a couple of minutes and just let that oil drain. By the power of magic of internet. Okay, so that's all the engine oil finished draining with the bike upright. Obviously this is all going to be a whole lot easier if you've got like a bike lift. You don't got to crawl around on the floor and the bike can be upright, etc, etc. But I don't have the pleasure of having a bike lift just yet, so I have to do it this way. Turn the ignition back off again now. So that engine oil, sorry, the gearbox oil is finished draining from there, so I can move that out of the way for a second. And what I'm going to do now is I'm literally just going to pop this gearbox oil plug back up into the hole from which it came. So just nip it up, don't need to do it too tight. If you've got a torque wrench, you can use that and torque it to the manufacturer's specifications. But I'm quite happy with the way that's done. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move around the other side of the bike. We'll do the primary next. Right guys, so as you can see, I've moved around the other side of the bike now with the primary. This is pretty simple, it's just going to be the same sort of thing. I'm just going to grab the oil container there, pop that underneath the bike. It only just about goes in, it's a pretty good fit actually. And then from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in underneath the bike, Oops, some scrape marks under there. I'm a bit overcautious with the corners. And underneath there, there's just that drain plug there. I don't know if you can see that very well, but that's the plug we're going to do for the primary. So we'll do that right now, same size as before. Get that on there. That's it. Break that one off. Not break it off, but you know what I mean. And again, same thing, you're probably going to lose me, but you can see what I'm going to be doing. I'm just going to take that sump plug out of there and let the oil drain. So, as you can see, that's now draining down. It's probably very dark, but I'll get my torch. So again, by the power of the internet, we'll just let this drain down. Okay, it's the same as last time, guys. It's the same sort of sump plug thing. So you get the sump plug out the primary, there shouldn't be too much in the way of iron filings on the bottom of that plug. And on my case, there is absolutely zero, which is good. Basically, the primary drive is a chain-driven system that runs around through the clutch. So if you've got iron filings in your clutch, it's something very, very seriously wrong. So we just clean that back off of there. Same thing again, just replace the O-ring, otherwise prone to leaks and ridicule from your mates down the pub for having a leaky Harley. So that's all nice and clean, ready to go back in. We'll pop those seals up there out of the way. And we'll just double check down here. Look, the primary's finished draining, which it has. As the bike's leaning this way, there's no need to stand the bike upright. All the oil should be well and truly out by now. So we can move that back out of the way. Just give this a bit of a wipe. And pop the plug back in. Okay, so that's the transmission done, that's the primary done. The only thing left to do now is the sump plug for the gearbox. So I'm going to go and drain some of this oil out of this tray. We'll undo the engine oil, and we'll do the same there. Okay, let's do that. Alright guys, just having a little bit of a retidy. So I'm going to need this again anyway. Now with this one, you're also going to need a short extension bar. Okay, so you just pop that on there, just a heads up, because my socket wrench won't fit past the frame of the bike. So I'm just going to dive back underneath with my other camera. Alright, so again, coming from the primary side, I'll try and get the light under there so you can see it. There we go. From the primary side, come in, and then you can see the engine oil sump plug right there. And again, that's a 5/8, same as before. So we'll get the socket on that next. Alright, that's got that. That's actually fairly quite loose, so I can do away with that bar. And I can just pop that in there, and I should be able to do that by hand. So now what I'm going to do, before I drop oil everywhere, I'm going to swap my camera out with an oil tray, like that. Alright, let's get that engine oil out of there. Let's put this down. This is doing absolutely no good whatsoever. And we'll do the same thing. We'll check the iron on the magnet, and there is literally nothing. So I'm very happy about that. 8,000 Ks with no iron filings in there at all, which is what I would expect. Very, very happy. It's either that or the magnet's not working, and that would be a bit of a problem, wouldn't it? Anyway, right, that's that. Same thing again. Change the O-ring over. And there we go. That's all ready to go back in as soon as the oil's finished draining. So I don't know if you can see that or not, guys, but that engine oil is still draining down there. It may take a while just to pop out. There's a fair bit in there. I think there's about 3 or 4 litres from memory, from full. Can't remember. So we'll let that do its thing. I might go and get a cup of tea or something. And so when we come back, we'll do the reverse and we'll start putting some oil back in it. And I'll film that for you so you can see what we're doing now. Right guys, welcome back. She's finished draining now, so I can put the sun plug back in. So we'll get this out of the way. With my other camera, we don't need to film and put the sun plug back in because it's the same as what we did earlier, but backwards. So let's pop this back in the hole. Now, in regards to special tools, I might have misled everyone a little bit earlier on because I've only just found out myself, but when you take the derby cover, in order to fill the primary out, you've got to take the derby cover off. Now these screws here, I just found out are mine are Torx bits, or star bits, or whatever you want to call them. And lucky for me, I do have a set, but this one here is a T27H, so that's the one you need. So yeah, I'm just going to go around here. I've pre-loosened these just to make sure I had the right ones, but it's the first time I've had one of these off, so we just have a look at these. It's just a Torx bit in the washer. So and as you can see, clutch cover towards the side. So we'll be discarding that and putting the new one on. So I'll just let you have a look, see what's in here. I'll grab my other camera again. Now this is probably where you're going to need the assistance of somebody, because there's a little cutout there. And the bike has to be upright, and the oil has to go into the top of this cutout, I believe. But it's only a quart anyway, so we shouldn't be able to overfill it because I've only got 1.05 quarts. So let's fill it up. So that's the old one, we can discard that. That's the new one, we can go back on there like so. What I'm going to do, I'm actually just going to go and get some assistance just to hold this bike upright for a second, because it's all going to be straight and level when you do this. So stand by, I'll be back in 1 sec. Alright, so I just got some assistance quick just to check the level upright. I've had to put the derby cover back on while that was upright, so I'm just basically going around there just nipping these ones up. I think we'll do back around the other side now, and we'll do the engine and the gearbox oil. But just before we do that, we've got to change the oil filter over on the front. So some of the Harley Davidson oil filters, they don't have the nut on the front like K&M ones. I think with hindsight and a little bit of ease, I think I prefer the one with the nut on the front. So you can just in here, they'd normally have a K&M nut on the end of this oil filter here. This one doesn't, so what I've done is I've just put the oil filter strap wrench on it, and now I'm literally just going to wrench that off. Shouldn't be on too tight, but it's not finger tight, that's for sure. So let's do that next. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop this under here. There shouldn't be too much oil spillage, but there might be a little bit just coming out the filter. So I'll just grab some rags and pop them under there, just to try and keep any of the worst off. Oops, knocked the camera over. There we go. Alright. Hopefully you can see this and I can still get access to do what I want to do. Alright, we'll give that a shot. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm literally going to pop this in here and begin to tighten this up. And then that should turn the oil filter where I want it to get it loose, which it is. There we go. Like I say, it's not really tight, but it's tight enough. So yeah, I just used an oil filter strap, guys. So it's just one of these. And I'm glad to put the oil under there because as you can see, it gets a little bit messy. Not the greatest of light, guys, sorry, but yeah, you get the idea. Alright guys, so as before, I've decided to go for the genuine Harley part. You You can use K&N, they're just as good, but I was in the Harley shop buying gaskets and seals and oil, so I just went for the whole thing. They do provide a kit. So that's an oil filter, this is the old oil filter. Just for the sake of keeping things clean, I'm going to put the old oil filter in that bag. Twist it up, put the box and put it back in there, and then it can be safely disposed of without leaking anywhere. So I've done a previous video when I've done an oil change on my Ducatis, it's the same principle. In order just to make a good seal, you just get some old engine oil and run it around the new rubber seal there. It just helps it seat. Some filters come pre-oiled with the ring, this one hasn't, so I've just done that. Now the secret to this is not to over tighten them. You're not going to be able to see this on camera and I can barely see what I'm doing here, so I'm just going to screw this back on where it came off of. A jigsaw puzzle to get it in there, but anyway, not too bad. So we just screw this on here by hand. No tools required for this at all. If you're doing this up with a spanner, you're doing it too tight. I'm pretty happy with that. That's the oil filter on. Now we can fill up the new engine oil. Alright guys, so we're getting there. The next stage that I'm going to be doing is the gearbox oil. So as before earlier, I loosened all the sump plug off the top of the thing just to create that less vacuum. So we'll do the gearbox oil next. I'll remove that as I did earlier. There's your dipstick level there. As you can see, that's the mark on the dipstick level. So this is basically the same as before. It's going to take 1 quart officially. 1 quart officially is just over, or just under a litre I think. So it'll be one of those little oil containers, so we'll do that now. So the same as before, because it's in such a nice, really awkward spot, I'm going to use a funnel. And I'm going to use, as before, the Formula Plus transmission primary case oil. So we'll fill that up now. Now in order to check this, it's got the correct level in it, the bike needs to be upright. However, I know it's going to take 1 quart, so we will fill this up with the whole bottle. So just double checking underneath, that spill was already there, it's just a little bit where the sump plug was in, there's absolutely no oil dripping anywhere. We're happy with that. That's the gearbox oil done. So the only thing left to do now guys is the engine oil. So with the engine oil, this I think takes around about 2.5–3 litres of oil from empty. So this again is via this one here. And you've got the stuff on there. Now this again is going to be, correct way of checking this is when the engine is hot and with the bike straight and level. So what I'm doing is I'm going to pre-fill it with what I think is about right. I'll keep checking the oil level and then I'm going to stand it upright. I'll warm up the bike and then we'll check it together. So you can see the correct method, making sure you don't overfill these bikes, because that's a common thing with these bikes is to overfill them. So we don't want to overfill the bike. It blows oil out through the air intake, all sorts of stuff, so we don't need any of that going on. So for this one again, I'm going to use a funnel. And we're going to use a Harley Davidson engine oil. Okay, so that's 2 quarts in. Yeah, so that at the moment is reading full on the dipstick on the side stand, which I'm happy about because the oil filter is yet to fill up, and that won't fill up until the engine's running because you need the oil pump. So we'll open up the garage so we don't gas ourselves and we'll run it. Alright, so we just run that quickly just to pressurise the oil. My oil light went off, which was good. So now I'm just going to check the oil levels. Yeah, so that's about halfway up on the dipstick. I'm happy with that for the time being. That's plenty of oil to keep circulating around the motor. So I'm going to roll this outside for a bit. I'll let it warm right up and then we'll bring it back in and check the oil level properly. Alright guys, that's now lovely and warm. It's been running for a fair while, so the engine oil should be nice and thin up to temperature. So now's the time to check, make sure we just got the right level. So what we'll do is we'll just bring it back up right. Oh, she's warm. Dipstick's in a terrible place for when it's warm. Oh. I don't really want to burn my fingers, so I'm just going to be using this for the time being. Because she's warm, boys, she's warm. Okay, so we'll bring it up right. Without burning my fingers, we'll pop that out of there. And we'll just check the levels now. So I'm not going to screw that back up right, I'm just going to rest it in there. And she's pretty much down on the minimum, which is what I thought would happen. So what we're going to do is we're just going to pop a little bit more oil in there. And that's now reading just literally below the full level. I'm happy with that. That's the oil change done. So we'll pop that back in there. Ouch. Well guys, that concludes that. That's the 3-hole oil change done on the Harley Davidson. I do have spark plugs to change, but I'm not going to do that on a hot engine. I don't really want to burn my fingers any more than I just did. Hopefully this shows you how to do it. I mean, it's not a hard job. Just takes a little bit of time and a couple of tools and a little bit of know-how. Thanks again guys for tuning into my channel. I do appreciate your support. I'm only a small channel, so every single like, every single subscribe helps me grow. Thank you so much. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Stay safe out there. Be good. See you soon.